Oscar Wilde once said, "Give a man a mask and he will tell you the truth." But what if that mask sticks to your face? What if the mask you wear swallows up and destroys your true self? In 1971, in a basement in sunny California, one of the most controversial psychological experiments in human history was conducted. No blood was shed, no guns were fired, but the wounds inflicted on the souls of the young people who entered that basement were much deeper than any physical blow. Today we're going to look at the Stanford Prison Experiment, but not the guards. We're going to get inside their minds. The scariest thing about this story is that there are no monsters in it. Professor Philip Zimbardo was meticulous in selecting his subjects. Those with criminal histories and psychological problems were eliminated. The remaining 24 young people were intelligent, healthy, from middle-class families. They were you, they were me. A coin toss, a mere drop of a piece of metal spinning in the air, determined who would be the master and who would be the slave. Was human nature really hanging by a thread? They were laughing when their fates were sealed, because this was only going to be a 2-week game. Easy money, a new memory. How do you change a person? By giving them a new name? No, by giving them a costume. Zimbardo dressed the guards in military uniforms, but the most critical detail was their eyes, mirrored sunglasses. These glasses prevented the guards from making eye contact, turning them from being human into expressionless authorities. For the prisoners, the process was even more humiliating. Their names were taken, they were given numbers. Women were made to wear stockings to cover their hair. This was an erasure of individuality. There was no longer Michael or John. There was only 8,612, a being without an identity. The first day was like a theater play. Everyone was acting strangely, but when night fell, the atmosphere of that basement changed. Led by their leader, nicknamed John Wayne, the guards began testing the limits. Physical violence was forbidden, so the guards found a much more effective weapon: psychological pressure. Depriving prisoners of sleep, making meaningless counts, constantly changing the rules, the concept of time began to blur in the prisoners' minds. Was this really a school basement, or was this the hell they would spend the rest of their lives in? Their sense of reality was slowly melting away. The question viewers most often ask is, why didn't they abandon the experiment? Why didn't they just say, "I'm leaving"? This is where psychology's darkest concept comes into play: learned helplessness. As prisoners realized that protesting only increased their punishment, they became passive, believing their own will was worthless in the face of the guards' absolute power. They built invisible bars around their minds. Even when the doors were open, their souls were already trapped. One prisoner even chose to stay when he had the chance to be released, so as not to leave his friends behind. Was this loyalty, or the first seeds of Stockholm Syndrome? Day 6 of the experiment. Even Zimbardo had lost his objectivity and was beginning to think of himself as the warden of that fake prison. That is, until his then-girlfriend, Christina Maslik, arrived. Maslik was horrified by what she saw. "What are you doing to these children?" he asked. The moment was a shock for Zimbardo. Everyone in the room was mesmerized. Only an outsider could see the madness. To remember what is normal, sometimes it is necessary to look at the system from the outside. The experiment ended that second, but the silence that remained was heavier than anything else. The Stanford Prison Experiment did not prove to us the existence of evil people. He proved to us how the system can suck good people in. We're all capable of doing things we never thought we'd do, given the right circumstances. Perhaps our greatest fear is not the dark, it is the face we will see when we look in the mirror in that dark. So, what about you? If you wore that uniform and held the power, who would you be? Subscribe and leave the lights on.